Bum, 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 bum. How you guys doing? Long time no see. It's been a minute. Um, so I'm trying to log on to the other websites that I read for right now. It's giving me a pain in the ass. Specifically my microphone. But let's see what we could do with it. I think usually when I reset it, then it's good. So where I'm at now with like the spiritual journey and the energetic thing, it's almost like everything is cyclical as far as like the lessons of your spiritual journey and the spiritual path. And I suppose where I'm at now is kind of borderline where you're kind of dictating the outcome of your reality. So it's like almost like immediate manifestation. You could say it's based off of belief. One second. Testing. Hey, it worked, bro. Cool, cool, cool. So, but what really the key takeaway is mainly the aspect of reverse engineering where we're coming from. So the typical kind of like Newtonian way of interfacing with this life is we allow events and circumstances to play out so as to give us a feeling or a thought or an idea or a mood or a modality. But and this isn't an original idea, but the reverse engineering would be to feel that in your heart, know that as the truth beyond what the matrix is currently showing you. And so the model is to, because that which we want and desire from the matrix allows us to experience our personal heaven. So the kind of key takeaways, now we're getting into the dynamic of feeling things before they happen, which a lot of people talk about. But the way you want to kind of use the language or the interface within yourself, you could use whatever you want to use, obviously. But for me specifically, where I'm at, I tend to talk about it as like heaven on earth. And so the way I go about that as far as reverse engineering the feeling is feeling that within my heart space, feeling God in my heart soul space, feeling heaven in my soul space. I kind of use the soul and the heart as interchangeable because the soul is literally located at the bottom of the heart energetically. It's the center of our torus field. So, it's, for me, my understanding is that this is also very potent when you're alkalimizing, if that's a word, energies. So in the morning, if you have sexual energy and you don't want to use that or waste that, particularly for my single people, what you could do is you could put your hand on your heart space and pull that energy up to your heart space. And that's where you want to do your kind of manifestation, almost like a meditation ritual. So what you're doing is you're using that excess energy instead of dwindling it and dispelling it. You are using that to basically, power the warehouse or the powerhouse or whatever. But what we know is that feelings are magnetic and pull in your holographic experience or holographic reality. So we're only really focused on the desired outcome and how it feels. I call it like the vision or the feeling of your life, like banging on all cylinders, exactly how you want it, what you want it. Because these external pieces, biochemically, physiologically, in our minds, our feeling body, our heart space, they are just metaphors for all the chemicals and the feelings that we're able to feel. So if you could reverse engineer, you're ready at that heightened state of feeling, oh, how does it feel to have lunch with my girlfriend and reconcile, and all the pieces are exactly how I want it, all the contexts are exactly how I want it. And what you're going to notice is you're going to notice different feelings within yourself. You might notice doubt, fear, hesitation, tentativeness, but really those are all meant for you to kind of blow away with your high frequency, high volume energy, because now you're allowing yourself into that proverbial kind of kingdom of heaven through your soul heart space feeling. I work with the heart space. I could bet that people would argue the crown chakra as well, you know. So you're kind of putting that energetic imprint out there. And for instance, if I have a specific desired outcome and I'm currently here doing this instead, then the next step would be to have heaven being expressed through this current matrix. So it's not about the actual thing that's desired or whatever. It's the takeaway is the kind of heaven in your heart feeling and expressing that through this matrix. And I'll talk to more about that after I take this call. Hi, this is Dylan. Hey, how's it going? Hey, what's up, man? All right, what can I help you with? Yeah.
I found that different. It was pretty intriguing. Usually women don't just come up and shake your hand. You understand, right? So I'm like, oh, all right. That's pretty cool. That's pretty aggressive. I kind of like that. She might have second guessed it later and was like, was I a little too forward because she did act a little shy after that and everything. But what is going on? What was that about? What I'm trying to see is, I don't know how the card's going to read it, but is this woman body something like, let's say two things. Is this genuine, the whole meeting, or is it something like, oh, this guy got money, maybe I contact him, and try to see if I can get money from him, or with my girlfriend, or whatever freaky. Or is this a genuine woman that was feeling me to herself, like feeling, because she hasn't called, so usually a woman that, if you kind of understand, is looking at you for finances and you kind of really think sex. I don't think 5 days would have went by for that. but a woman that may have been attracted and second guessing and looking through the card, calling my office, seeing that the office is legit, seeing that my website is legit, like, okay, this guy's legit, that she might be wrestling with intimidation, insecurities of how do I contact them or something like that, right? Sometimes, like, yeah.
Yeah, let me see here. One second.
That's a very interesting woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it feels like her energy. It feels like her energy is coming across as single, and it seems like, yeah. So there looks like there is this kind of availability, and I do see communication, from her direction towards your direction. You have the 9 of Pentacles, the 8 of Wands in the upright, and then the 3 of Wands, which is usually someone who's kind of waiting for that incoming communication.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Like, I'm like, why isn't she calling? Come on.
Yeah. But if there weren't going to be communication, then you wouldn't see this 8 of Wands in the upright. Did you get any of her?
Right.
Did you get any of her info, like her Instagram or her phone number?
No, because it just didn't go like that. I'm not, I usually will give a person my card because that's why I make a business card, because it's what I do. So if I look at a person and I can possibly, if there's not a connection with a woman, maybe I can use the body type. Because, I have European cut right now, so I have to search for different measurements. And that's just how it is. So whether there's not an attraction, at least I'm getting something out of that, because I didn't understand the energy fully. I knew that, hey, wow, she looks nice, she's nice, but I don't know if she's attracted to me, but she's being forward, she's coming up, that's different. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if the card is saying was that an attraction thing, that she will contact me because she's attracted, she wants to get close. Maybe that's what's delaying her from calling, because she's trying to figure out how do I don't want to seem a little too desperate, or you know what women will do. She's probably like already second guess, like, damn, was I a little forward by shaking his hand? So I don't know what's going on that's delaying her. But 5 days ain't that bad. Sometimes a woman gets you numbing the whole month to go by, and all of a sudden, hello, So I don't know.
For me, I'm just getting more so like an emotional openness or availability. I'm not getting like the attraction.
What was that? A what?
For me, I'm just seeing like a more emotional openness, but I'm not seeing the attraction there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, so she's not attracted to me, so okay.
Yeah. But I feel like, this 4 of Cups in the reverse insinuates that emotional openness towards you. So, you could build off that, right? Like women do that all the time, especially if you're interested in like attraction. They'll have you in that kind of category, but then one day they'll see something in you that they didn't before. And boom, the switch is flipped. So
okay, I'm trying to understand that. Emotional means there's an emotional attachment of what's the emotion if there's no attraction.
No. Don't go switching my words out. I didn't say attachment. I said there's an emotional openness.
Yeah, emotional openness
towards you.
There's no attraction, not attachment.
Right.
I said attraction.
Yeah.
Like emotional assume, I'm trying to understand, like somebody like take care of me. I want to cry on your shoulder. Like,
No. Like, hey, I might reach out to this guy.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I guess just meeting somebody, it might not be a super, I guess not a super attraction for each other. I mean, I found her attractive, intriguing myself, yeah, but I don't think she was like, oh, I gotta go, I'm in love and all that. No, it's just like, it was strange. He came and shook my hand, for Christ's sake, and I'm like, he looked me in my eyes and said, my name is Naya. So, emotional. So she could take my number for any reason, a rendezvous, trying to get money. That's why I asked him again, is the emotion tied to finance, trying to get to know me to get money?
No, I wasn't seeing like a financial attraction. No.
Okay. So this person may not even call me.
I mean, if that's what you want to, focus on manifesting and creating, but why are we focusing on a direction that we don't want?
No, I don't want to focus on it. I'm just saying, she may not call. If 5 days has already went by, so if there's nothing driving her really to call, there's no real attraction. I don't blame her. I wouldn't call the person either.
Yeah, but it's like,
like,
so no. My thing is just like, remember, we got to reverse engineer this stuff. Like, we're not focused on what the matrix is showing us. That's the old way of doing things. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you just got to be mindful of your power, basically. Like, you really got to set the intention, and then no matter what circumstance you're in, like you're just enjoying whatever situation you're in at the moment, like top notch, and that's basically all you have to do is just kind of relax into things and enjoy it and have fun, and your personal heaven on earth, and anything that comes to you, doubt, fear, worry, concern, we have the power to kind of blow that out the water with just being present and enjoying our life, and just trusting that things are all in our favor. You know what I'm saying? But it's all about what power are we giving to a thought or a feeling or whatever. It's like, no, you have to really know deeply your truth in your heart about the way that you're dictating your reality.
Right.
You could call it confidence. You could call it, whatever.
I've been confident. About it. It was different. It was unique. She come shake my hand. But,
yeah. And like that's like for example.
But I have somebody.
For example, like.
I can't get too wrong because somebody's trying to get my attention.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, for example, that would be the thing to kind of feel and focus on, right? Like, there's a reason why she came up to me and this and that,
Right.
That would be the thing to focus on.
Right. All right.
Okay, brother.
Yeah. All right, brother. Thanks so much.
All right, reach out anytime. Thanks for talking. All right, bye. So, what we're talking about here is now you get into the realm of, do you have to always feel redlining, heaven on earth, this and that, whatever? You could believe in that. You could set that intention. I'm not saying it has to be this kind of gasmic, like, always like feeling, whatever. But again, it's more so an understanding that the absence of feeling happy, whole, complete, fulfilled, whatever, in a quantum paradoxical sense, it is the same as peace and stillness and what have you. Because if, you want to call it God, life, the universe, nothingness, the void, emptiness, space, that which is outside of space and time, source, that all permeates every thought, every feeling, every moment. You know what I'm saying? And then that's when you get into the talks of like flowing, things unfolding in your favor. You're going to be hit with some sort of doubt thing. That's the ego. That's the ego's job is to interface, but you're no longer concerned or in fear or worry of how you interact with that thought or a feeling on a one-to-one basis, because you already wrote your coordinates, on the blackboard behind you. Like you already set it, locked it in, set it, forget it. And so now we're just kind of chilling and vibing. I think I'm gonna go live on TikTok and see what comes from that. As far as like pulling tarot cards.
Yeah, good. Now,
Let's see. I was gonna keep on posting this. There we go. Come on over. Yeah, let me mute my microphone real quick. Sorry, I'm trying to have a song with the right. I'm trying to have a tarot card with the right song, and TikTok's acting like a little. Gotta mute my thing because I'm using a certain song. Okay, sorry, y'all. So we're getting into the realm of talking about how we tend to think about what we want and what we desire outside of ourselves, even in the immediate moment. And what that has happened to us is that, and this is something that I noticed when, I started the practices of focusing on my heart space, and where that kind of evolved to was focusing on what one could call present moment or the spaciousness. Because again, we're talking about that which permeates all things. We're talking about realities and timelines and all that stuff. And so, like, just for the example, when I was just trying to have a certain outcome with this post that I was making, and the song was being funny, and I have to edit it and move the song on the track. What, for instance, like anything in your daily, throughout your day or your waking life, your daily life, what consciousness wants to do by default when it's expressed through the mind and when it's in this unawareness place, it wants to focus on the objects and the subjects instead of the space or the nothing or the no thing. So that's a mindfulness method that you can practice as well outside of yourself. Like literally, if I'm sitting in my front room and there's a wall over there, you can practice on the space in between me and the wall. You can practice focusing on the space, the spaciousness. And that's like the quiet peace that is like the ever pervading, source element, So that's like a mindfulness technique as well, as opposed to focusing on objects or subjects or kind of direct outcomes, because then that puts you in a place of disempowerment. That's why it's important to kind of feel it in your heart. But what we're left with that theory is that you're not always going to be redlining it. So quantum paradoxically, it would have to be that feeling the peace, feeling the spaciousness, feeling the whatever is the same as really feeling that kind of uptick of emotion, heaven on earth in your heart. You know what I'm saying? And that having kind of put that intention out there, that feeling is going to resonate a reason to feel it from the matrix as opposed to from the inside out. But there is, I think, value because of the human condition in space and time to know that the space or the quietness, that is something to kind of cozy up into and relax and enjoy. And that is heaven as well. That is perfection as well. And from this place, we could notice and recognize the space within, in between thoughts and feelings. I almost had like another kind of meditative practice where I'm like imagining my headspace and imagining it being kind of like blank. And then using that blank template, you could call it an empty mind, or what's up, Ethereal Moonlight? How's it going? Happy Monday. That kind of empty template as what you're interfacing with. You could call that presence, you could call that what have you. But that's usually like what's going on, I would argue. If you're coming from a present mental space, that would be like the visual of what's happening. So that could be a technique used as well. Envisioning that empty space as you're interfacing from the inside out. Whereas the alternative method, like I just mentioned, would be focusing on the space, in your immediate environment. So I think what we're building towards is like a understanding within the heart space, like a real integration of like everything that you come across is meant to reaffirm that, for lack of a better word, if you want to call it perfection, heaven on earth, peace, that being in union with the grace of all that permeates our reality, beyond space and time, and all that's permeated in space and time as well. What's up, Ethereal Moonlight? You got to remind me, because I haven't been here forever. You have a crown and a number 1 next to your chat name. I don't know if, I'm assuming we've met, but I apologize. I may have forgotten you, but I think we met and connected a while ago. I haven't been on YouTube in over a year, so refresh my memory. Oh, okay. Yeah. But did we meet before? I think we did. I think you came into my channel maybe like over a year ago, and yeah, like I said, forgive me if I forgot the connection. I've been reading for a ton of people, and I don't remember everyone's username. Yeah, because Ethereal Moonlight sounds familiar. Have you met me before? Have you spoke with me before, Ethereal Moonlight? Have you come into my live videos, and have we had an exchange before? Do you remember? Let me know if you can. What's up, Jay? What's up, Tiffany? What's up, Sunny? What's up, Leaky? I'm live right now on TikTok as well. Oh, okay. This is your first time here. Okay, cool. Yeah, for some reason I assumed that you were already familiar with my channel, and that, what's up, Leaky? Thank you for the likes. And that I had just forgotten about you. But no, nice to meet you. My name's Peter. I go by Dylan as my reader name. You guys can check me out on psychics.com. My main website that I read for is psychicsource.com. Again, reader name Dylan, Dylan. Or you could DM me at Run and Gun Tarot across all social media if you want a reading. If you're on my TikTok, we could do a live reading here. Or if you're on my YouTube, we could do a live reading here. Lee Key, usually I charge for readings. So yeah, I'm not too sure. How I want to go about this. If you want to check out my TikTok page, you can see my prices there. So yeah. But you know what? Since I wasn't, actually in the subject line, I think it says $5 readings in the subject line. So that's today's special. What's up, Nisi? Again, guys, $5 readings in the subject line. If you want to check out my TikTok page, there's payment info there. At Run and Gun Tarot, spelled RUNNGUNTAROT. I'm going to pull out just some general energies. Feel free to share. Feel free to bring up any interesting topics that you guys may want to talk about. You got the Justice card wanting to fly out here. I noticed the other day when I was shuffling, there were some flyers, and I didn't take them. So I'm going to tell Spirit I'm open to flyers today. Maybe just some general moving forward cards that want to pop out. You can read it as flying out in the neutral position, but for all intents and purposes, I can take this as the Justice card in the upright. So this is about fairness, balance, equality, usually Libra relationship energy. I'm just doing general energies, guys and gals. At the bottom of the deck, usually what we don't see, you got the Two of Wands in the upright. Someone might be waiting and anticipating. Ooh, maybe planning on giving a new offer here, extending, waiting for the right time to extend this Ace of Cup new offer as a means to balance the scales. Some argue what's balanced on the scales, sometimes the heart and the mind. This could be sun, moon, rising. Let's see what else wants to tell us, Spirit. Let's have fun. Let's channel those high energies within. Reverse engineer from the heart space, heaven on earth, from the inside out. As we do this, let's really enjoy this and have fun while we're doing this. Or else, what's the point? You got the Page of Sword in the upright. Someone might still be trying to kind of learn new information. Taking their time, maybe trying to understand where you're at. It could be a new version of you that you're kind of developing or working on, or you could have recently come across some new understanding or insight that you want to apply, not only with this person, but just overall in your life. For example, one of the recent understandings that I've come across is, and I've always knew this, but what the amazing thing, thank you so much, Raspberry. The amazing thing is that life will have you be on the path of, so as to come across certain experiences and encounters so that you could further your spiritual, thank you so much, Raspberry, for the gifts, so that you can further your spiritual development. Whether we know it or not, we are on the path of personal development and the opportunity to raise our frequency. That's what life is about, right? So hence channeling that kind of, again, forgive me for this phraseology, but I call it heaven on earth within our soul, within our heart, really feeling that and really being filled with that joyous energy in life. And then likewise interpreting the spaciousness and the emptiness or the void or the nothing, that too is a part of that kingdom of heaven, right? It's that rejuvenative, regenerative aspect that we're not taught to necessarily kind of feel comfortable with. But that next leg on the spiritual path is seeing that as an opportunity to kind of cozy on up and sink into that and melt into that deepening and that trust that is grace itself. It's very interesting that, recently, just to share my personal experiences, I would be, in dealings with certain people. Could be my father, could be a stranger that I met playing basketball, could be a close loved one. And what I tend to notice is like their blind spots, their lack of awareness. And some people kind of in general, universally, might take umbrage with that, might define that or interpret that as negatively, as if that person is not being emotionally present or caring. Not saying that everyone has to, be to that capacity with you, but we have certain expectations with specific relationships. And where I notice after this, insider realization being moving from head to heart, Ram Dass said that the biggest, longest journey that you're ever going to have spiritually is going from head to heart. And so when I started to interpret those blind spots or that emptiness or that feeling of emotional abandonment or the void, not from the head space, but from the heart space, I realized that that's an opportunity to be comfortable in this emptiness, this void, what was previously understood or defined as emotional abandonment. And so I've been well aware of the movement from head to heart, but it's just very interesting how life experiences will be brought to you so that you can really integrate it and really have a true firsthand experience of, how the movement from head to heart actually works. It's one thing to know it intellectually, but it's another thing to know it through firsthand personal experience. so much to the point where you're seeing it within yourself, because you're no longer reacting, but you're in your choice, you're in your response, your responsive nature. And that's just such a beautiful thing. What I'm learning from this movement from head to heart space is that, and again, these are things that we know on paper, we know intellectually, but when you actually practice them, and in certain moments, key moments in your life, then you just see someone kind of blossom and open up. And so, you could be as right as rain, 100% on paper, logic, foolproof. I'll give you an example. In a relationship, certain expectations are kind of baked in: communication, compromise, respect, accountability. And you are right in calling out that other person. Logically, you're right. In your ego mental headspace, you are correct in calling out that person about them not communicating, them not being accountable, them not being compromising, them not holding to their word. And yet, what do we often experience as feedback for being right intellectually, logically, on paper? We don't get the response that we want, right? Because sometimes it's too much for that person to face those things energetically, egoically. And so they run away from what they're being shown or what they're being reflected. So the idea is, in doing that, there's still a world where you can do that, but it's about, obviously, and this sounds very obvious, it's about the energy in which you're doing that. It's about the approach in which you're coming from. And so when you're coming from the heart space, when you're coming from gentleness and kindness, then that's when that's where the money's at. That's when you really have this kind of harmonious response and connection. Me personally, I'm dealing with someone with a lot of trauma and with a lot of, escapism and running away. So that tends to be their way of dealing with things, which is not the correct way of dealing with things. But I realize that, if I am this like all-powerful co-creator that's one with, for lack of a better word, God or the universe or source, then my biggest kind of, superpower is the ability to come from the heart space and not just the logic, headspace. What ends up happening more often than not is we end up pushing that person away. If you're demanding more time, if you're demanding a response, if you're demanding this and that, if you're calling them out on their blind spots or their shortcomings or things that you really feel and know in your heart that you shouldn't have to explain to an adult, basic communication, basic, just being on the same page, then that dynamic, it could be professional, it doesn't have to be romantic, it could be with yourself, depending on if, what kind of relationship you have with yourself. It could be a relationship to anything, even a habit or something abstract, a lifestyle. When you're merely coming from the logic, ego, headspace, you will find that it's never going to be enough for the mind, for the ego, because it's not its job to be fulfilled, to be happy, whole, and complete. That only comes when you are, if you want to call it, expressing consciousness through the heart space. Because in that soul heart space is where we're already one with God or connected to source. Whatever language you want to use, whatever your favorite kind of word flavor is, whatever works best for you. So the idea is that we are happy, whole, and complete already. That's how we're made. And we've only to kind of come back home to ourselves in that realization, in that understanding, and not interface or have our understanding based on feelings, thoughts, desires, because again, that's all the internalized version of the matrix. Just as our external circumstances, money in the bank, if we're single, if we have the body of our dreams, if we have this and that, those are all external manifestations of, if you want to call it, the matrix. So basically what I'm preaching and practicing is this kind of movement of empowerment, which is understanding that we're happy, whole, and complete, and reverse engineering, not waiting for our thoughts to be at peace or our feelings to be good, or for all the external pieces to be perfectly set, not waiting for all of those circumstances inside and out before we channel through the soul heart space, heaven on earth, if you want to use that lingo, or that wholeness, or embodying that wholeness that we're already created with. So you're quite literally kind of, plugging in this wholeness or this heaven on earth from within. And that's basically what's going to light up your life experience, or, the matrix, or whatever lingo you want to use. I know sometimes there's a negative connotation with use of the word matrix. So, and this is kind of, viably proven and understood when you consider that we have an electromagnetic field. I'm always talking about this. We have a literal torus field around us. It's electromagnetic, and our thoughts are on that electrical spectrum because they're synaptic, they're impulsive electric, and our feelings would then have to be emotion. Because if you notice, every thought has a feeling with it, and every emotion tends to have a thought with it. So quite literally, if you want to take it as I say literally, but if you want to take it even metaphorical, the thought is electric. And so if you know anything about electromagnetism, in order for electricity to travel, it requires a magnetic track to travel. And this is how the magnetic track travels, like a snake. And then the electricity travels on it up and down in this wavelength. And so they meet each other. Bam, bam, bam. So that's electromagnetism, like basics. So what I'm saying is that the internal expression of this external torus field or electric magnetic field that we have around us, what the kids call aura, we even talk about it. It's even, made its way into popular culture, right? They talk about basketball players as having aura. They're literally reading they're what the ancient Greeks called gravitas, right? If you think about Michael Jordan, if you think about someone's presence, that's what it is. That's their aura. And so our number one job, I always say, we work for God first and foremost, or we work for source, if you want to use a secular language, if you're more comfortable with that. Our number one job is to basically cultivate and prune and take care of and rise and raise that frequency, that vibration, that electromagnetic field around us, or that torus field around us. And then that's when you get into jumping into higher timelines, meaning you're going to live your day out completely different because you're moving with personal momentum. You're focused on doing good, feeling good. Your diet, your exercise, your sleep, your meditation, your community, your family, your friends, being around people. I recently came across the understanding, alcohol lowers your vibration, but what lowers your vibration 6 times worse, and we have an epidemic of this nowadays, is isolation. So even if you're just going to the gym, being around people, even if, like me, you're going to the park playing basketball, or you're going to salsa dancing class, just being there raises your vibration. Now, some people might be like, yeah, well, duh, we're social creatures. It's good to be around people, da-da-da-da-da. But for people like me, who usually run on more so that intellectual, spiritual front of understanding, that does wonders for me, because now I'm going to get up and force myself to go out and allow others to enjoy my, energy and vice versa. So, it's a very kind of different understanding when you're when you're literally at the gym and you're no longer just on your elliptical, bored and mad and doing it begrudgingly, you have a deeper spiritual understanding that, oh shit, just being around people, we are raising each other's vibration, like provenly, mathematically, scientifically. So likewise, when you experiment with, Joe Dispenza talks a lot about a specific type of meditation where you're filling your heart with love, with joy, with gratitude, what I call heaven on earth. And that's going to send like ripples and pulses out into your reality, because let's be honest, reality is, this feedback loop. It's a hologram of your internal state. So when your awareness is open, when your internal state is banging on all cylinders, and that's when the magic and the miracles and the blessings you see happen, because you're already primed for feeling that, Let's look a little bit into this card to get us back on track. We have the Four of Wands here. This is just general energies. Take it if it resonates. So this is having to do with union, fun in the sun, coming back together, maybe with your beloved. But that really doesn't work unless you have that understanding of you are already in union with yourself, divine masculine, divine feminine, infant child, vulnerable self. That's like the internal holy trinity. More on an external rung of it or level is the, one would say, if you're kind of Christian, Catholic, Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. It's all the same thing. So that knowledge and knowing and feeling, if you need like that kind of diagram understanding, that would be you are already in union with yourself. Okay. So some may need to work on understanding and integrating that at a conscious level, but whether you do or you don't, I think it helps when you do, because there's a certain amount of, relevance to being able to allow yourself to even get into the arena of doing affirmations like I'm happy, I'm whole, and I'm complete. And that's quite literally the truth. So the Four of Wands is about union, typically external union. These also, in the new method that I read, I call it Manifestation Tarot. Now, if someone, feel free to point out to me if you've come across this before, but I've never come across someone read tarot like this method that I came up with ChatGPT. And it basically took something that Santos Bonacci said, which was everything in the Bible is a metaphor for the building blocks of reality, our experience, which is magnetism, electricity, and dielectricity. And I think with dielectricity is just like the interval kind of polarity of a charge being able to go from positive to negative or more negative, like, electrically. But basically my kind of whole approach in tandem with ChatGPT in our discussion was, hey, I have a hunch that the tarot can be understood as far as electromagnetism. Electrical, our thoughts are electrical, our feelings are magnetic. So the way we went about that was, and again, with great help and credit to ChatGPT, they established, because of the kind of connection between fire and electricity, even in the ancient times, they would categorize electricity with fire or fire with electricity because of the plasma. Electricity and fire are both plasma, so they would be categorized under the same way. So in the traditional tarot, the wands are fire or action. In this new manifestation tarot that I use from time to time, it would be electric or thoughts. Hey, feel free to send payment. Let me know when you've sent payment and I'll answer your question. I'm just doing an open stream right now. My prices are on my TikTok page if you're interested. So let's see. So what we're saying here is that, so for instance, this would be thoughts, not just action and fire or passion and inspiration. This would be thoughts. So your thoughts are in alignment. It could be that the person that you're corresponding, if you're in a situation with, a loved one where you're trying to reconcile, or there's a distance here, your thoughts are in alignment. You guys are you're having the same mind about it. But the tricky thing is that sometimes our ego won't, either the other person's ego or our ego, it won't allow us to always say, that's our intention, because of fear, because of trauma, because of what have you. So, but this is kind of almost comforting, along with that Ace of Cup. This is all about peace, comfort, comforting emotion, someone reaching out. And it was at the bottom of the deck, so we know that would be more so in alignment with somebody reaching out to you, the protagonist, as opposed to you maybe having put efforts where you reach out to someone else. 2:22 on the clock, by the way, Pacific time. So it's good to see here. Now, from the wands, i.e. the fire, the electric, the tarot plays out in this order: fire, water, air, earth. So wands, cups, swords, pentacles. So if the wands are electric or thoughts, then that would mean that the cups are magnetic, water, emotion. So if you add the wands in the cup, then you get the sword, which would then be electromagnetic, because electricity requires magnetism to travel. So it only makes sense that the wand plus the cup, the electric plus the magnetic, right? The fire plus the water, which they always say when you put fire and water together, you have the Holy Spirit, in kind of alchemical languages. That's how they refer to, when fire meets water, that's the Holy Spirit. And you could even understand the Holy Spirit as, a thought feeling dynamic, and what version of that spirit are you tuning into, so the wand plus the cup gives us the sword, and that gives us electromagnetism. And again, interestingly enough, that's the second to last energy or suit in the manifestation tarot, in the tarot in general. The last one, and so basically the sword, the electromagnetism, is when a thought is connected to a feeling, or a feeling is connected to a thought. And, interestingly enough, we have, for the Three of Swords, just use that as an example. What is that? That is three swords, or three thoughts attached to a feeling, right? Because the sword is electromagnetic, the thoughts are electric, the feelings are magnetic, that are piercing our heart. So what that tells us is that we're able to heal that by rearranging the associations or the interface between a thought and a feeling. We could either change the thought, or we could either change the feeling. Or you could even play at a higher level where you're no longer just paying attention to it, giving it any energy, any story, any narrative, because for the electromagnetism, or the thought feeling, to be able to exist and thrive and grow, it requires the energy source, which is our attention, our awareness, our consciousness. Wherever you put it is what's going to grow. So if you're expressing your conscious energy, your consciousness, your awareness, your focus through your mind space, guess what? You're going to, grow from there. If you express it through your crown chakra, you're going to go from there. If you express it through your heart space, you're going to grow through there. So we have the Four of Wands here. One thing that I also my inclination was to do was, I like to do what I call tarot math. So the Four of Wands here adds to the Two of Wands, which gives us the Six of Wands. So there's some sort of victory outcome here that someone gets, along with this kind of fresh new restart. Ace of Cup, emotional solace, emotional peace. You may feel like justice is being served here. It could be that someone is on the fence, Two of Sword imagery here, with the Justice card, sword, and with the Page of Sword here. Let's see, anything else here, Spirit? Yeah, you have the Two of Cup here. Someone decides to come and meet you and share that cup of emotion. And that cup of emotion, more often than not, tends to be more so because our feelings are magnetic and the cups are water, feeling, emotion. In this kind of expression of harmony and unity, right? You see the Four of Wands, you see the Two of Cups. That's what we could understand as love. And we already have that illusion to love based on the scale. So we always know that the scale is being weighed, a feather to a heart, or your mind versus your heart. And to me, well, since the Two of Cups is a soulmate card, this suggests that, yes, these two energies, this divine masculine, feminine, finally get on the same page and exchange that emotion that's been there. It's like you can't cover it up. That's like the saving grace in all of this, is that no matter, it takes so much effort to run on your mental space, to run on ego, that, what's that old KRS-One song? Love is going to get you. Love is going to get you. Because when you settle in the peace, that's the same thing. That's the same. It's love. It's wholeness. It's fulfillment. So that's our natural tendency and inclination as beings, is to gravitate to the heart space with each other. And I always like to think of it as a super magnet. It's just a matter of time. It's inevitable, really. And then you could get into the quantum paradox realm, where I'm already connected. I'm already with that person. They're already right here, right now, as real as this 3D is, with me in my heart. So don't be surprised when you hear a knock on the door or what have you, and feel that, Just take a moment to feel that. They're here with me. They're in my arms. They're in my heart. I'm in their heart. I'm in their arms. And just the gratitude and thanks and the relief and the joy and the heaven on earth. And the thing is, as far as we mentioned quantum paradox, you'll notice that the ego will be like, well, what if it doesn't play out, and da 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 da. It doesn't matter, to the extent that now we know we're still always channeling heaven on earth through the heart soul space. So what I'm saying is that if for every reason, and I'm not afraid to say this, if it doesn't play out to where that specific person comes back to me or whatever, it's a sliding scale. You just make adjustments and you change the vernacular of the specific subjectivity of that particular person, who's a metaphor for what's inside anyways, to, instead of using their name, you're like, I'm in union with, specific name. You're like, I'm in union with the love of my life. And so it's a sliding scale. So hence how your experience always literally allows for you to recognize that you are happy, whole, and complete. You know what I'm saying? If it's on a specific job you get, you say, in loose terms, always leaving space for the miracles, the blessings, and the magic, you say, I'm with the income of my dreams, using my God-given gifts, talents, and abilities, and all that stuff. So no matter what, your whole point is to be that expression of wholeness and gratitude, and it's all here in that space that is arguably more real than the 3D physical matrix, because it's all about your connection with the source and the internal state, and that kind of wholeality of reality, that wholeness of self that is expressed through the soul heart space. And when you're vibing there, you're no longer telling the universe, I'm lacking this, I'm lacking that. Because when you're in want and desire and need and this and that, you're telling the universe that you don't have that. And it shows you don't have that. So when you say, in my instance, my person's name is Nella. If you're like, I'm already one with Nella. She's here right now. She's in my heart. We're happy, whole, complete, right off into the sunset, harmonious, happily ever after, joyous, grateful, thankful, heaven on earth, peace, calm, respect, love, dignity, kindness, gentleness, living through the heart space with each other, trust, fidelity, all that stuff. It's here right now. And so you just have thankfulness and gratitude for it. And there you go. And you in those moments, they say that you hold on to a thought for less than a minute. I think they said 16 seconds, and you're sending waves into the quantum. So you can imagine, since our heart is 5,000 times stronger than our mind signals, our thought signals. It's magnetically, I think, 5,000 times stronger. You can imagine what holding a feeling for 16 seconds or less than a minute will do to the quantum, realm. And again, either way, how it pans out, you're in the winner's circle because you get the benefit of enjoying it here and now, the truth of it. And so on all these different kind of, layers or levels, you're in commune with source. And it's a love fest. So you have the temperance card here. This is divine timing here. Okay? This union in divine timing. This is fate and destiny with the magician in the reverse. Yes, this new start, this new beginning, this new action. And again, someone is seeing it. Someone is leaning towards it. They see how this resentment and this ego, mind, and whatever is weighing things down, and how they got in their own way. And the Wheel of Fortune is saying, hey, look, this door is open for this resurrection. It's quite literally like, this is uncanny how this is coming out here. That Wheel of Fortune is like, boom, it's time. It's time for that second, third chance, reconciliation, resurrection. Very lovely. Very great to see. Quite literally, like, perfect reading. All right, well, I've been ranting and raving. Anybody got anything to say, anything they want to share, anything they want to ask? Everything is under the umbrella of paid readings, so check out my TikTok. All my payment methods are there. Hey, readings are paid. Check out my prices on my TikTok page. Might eat some food. All right, I'll be back, y'all. I'm going to leave the stream on. I'm just going to make myself some food. I'll share my lunch with you. So I did some ground turkey seasoned yesterday. I did some rice-a-roni to be exact, and then I like to eat it with an avocado, so I know I'm getting my kind of serotonin, dopamine. What's up, Gift of Gab? Welcome. Been seeing you out there, Gift of Gab. Good job. Keep it up. So yeah, maybe we'll do like an all-day stream thing where we just kind of relax into it and have some lunch, late lunch. Let me get my water. I'll be back. I tend to overdo it with the heat and the spice. I like to put cayenne pepper on basically everything I eat. Some seasoned salt, some garlic powder. Ran out of lime juice. I believe I did. Yeah. Ran out of lime juice. Should be all right. I was going to say, we were speaking to, the void or the emptiness or the spaciousness or the stillness. That's source. That's God. That's rendering in your favor. That is the thing that you want to kind of relax and cozy on up into. A lot of us get caught in the kind of ego trap of like trying to fill it. But it's really just, meditation means, the word etymologically means to refamiliarize yourself with source or spirit. And Muji always says, when you start to understand these things, your life becomes like a walking meditation. So it's like you're bringing that meditation to your everyday life, to all the moments of your life. And I think a big part of that is how we interact with, as I like to call the no thing or the nothing. Because, we even say in our language, when we say nothing matters, it's like no thing matters. Focus on the space, focus on the thing that's not a thing, focus on the nothing. And I alluded to that mindfulness technique as well earlier. I'm gonna heat this up a little more because I like my food piping hot. What's up, Mario? I got my video going on the expert link line. I think I'm logged on. Let me check. To mypsychics.com. No, it's not logged on.
Your availability status is now turned on.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's kind of like, for you, what's banging on all cylinders? I'm kind of noticing that for me, it's when I'm signed down to all my channels, you know. And I think the methodology is like, yes, I believe it's already here. It's done. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. The contacts, the communication, the clients, the money, it's all here right now, and I'm enjoying it. And it pays for my life. It allows me to connect. It allows me to genuinely help people through Bitwine, through psychics.com, Psychic Source, YouTube, Psychic Power Network, TikTok. Like, these are literally like 6 different channels. You know? And what's 6? Put the number of victory in the term. What's up, Lillian? Lillian YD? And the space is rendering. Silence is rendering. It means everything's in alignment. And that's the thing. It means everything's always in alignment. I'm telling y'all. Another thing you could do is what Santos Bonacci says, where you're almost experiencing yourself from the remote kind of intelligence consciousness. Because they say consciousness is generated outside of the brain, and it's just a radio receptor and we're tuning into. And so you're viewing yourself from that kind of third camera angle. And what I like to do is like pour love into that, vision of me. You can do so much with your kind of awareness techniques. And Muji says the point of, the other is so that the divine can experience it giving love to itself. So that's pretty cool. was so amped and like jacked last night, like my energy when I was laying in bed. There's this announcer that announces for basketball. I forget his name. I think it's like Mike Tirico or something like that. I could be completely wrong. But he's famous for when someone shoots a three-pointer at like usually like a pivotal moment in a basketball game. His tagline is to say, bang! And, knocked it down. And I was playing basketball yesterday, and we were joking around about that. And we were shooting and hitting threes with two-pointers. And I just felt this energy last night of, like, just within. Like, my whole energy was, like, if there was any doubt or worry or concern that wanted to creep up, I just felt like I would be like, bang! And, like, my energy would, like, take care of it. But I think what the ego does is if it has like a thought creep up, like for instance, I just had the thought, easy does it, like something like, I don't know, like take it easy. And it's like, one approach would be like fighting it or combating it, but another approach would be to witness the ego respond to it or feel some type of way about it, like, oh, I got to get rid of it, or oh, I don't like that, or even worry and confuse itself that it's generating that thought and it's going to mismanifest or create from it. But I think the highest form of interaction with it, like how Muji says, is to really let it keep on going by and not have to tend to it like a cloud in the sky or an ocean in the wave. And I always tell my callers, like, why are you focusing on the direction that you don't want to manifest? So don't do that. I'm trying these new nicotine. It's called Clue. What's up, Brittany? Just enjoying lunch here. I've been eating, like, seriously, at least avocado with at least once a day. Because I hear it's really good for, like, either serotonin or dopamine. I think serotonin. And then bananas are really good for dopamine. And those are, like, some of our most basic kind of receptors and transmitters for, like, feeling good. So I've just been rocking with that. Quit drinking, quit the kids call it corn, the kind of adult entertainment that you could use on your phone. Quit gambling. And it's funny because I had started that out earlier in the year, but I was still in the place where I was letting like the external get to me, and I would let things kind of push me off track. But now I'm just really kind of solidly grounded, and I know that was like the takeaway. That was like I was meant to learn and grow from this experience. You could call it a tower moment, you could call it a falling out, whatever you want to call it. Anything that you go through, it's there's a silver lining in it. What's up, Samaya, Christine? That's an interesting name. I'm also getting into these, they're cell salts. And they're basically based on your zodiac sign. It's a type of salt that your body requires. I think even more so than any of the other zodiac signs. So it's kind of interesting because every sign has a cell salt that they happen to require more of. I'm going to actually check and see if it's delivered yet. It might be. It's supposed to be delivered today. As I say, bang! I'm going to start doing that. Dimitri. So these are dissolvable tablets. Stress, nervous tension, headaches. This is cell salt number 6. This is Kali phos or potassium phosphorate or phosphorus. Quick dissolve in single tablet doses. So I'm going to start to take this as a kind of like a daily supplement and see where things go from there. I've been like, for the longest time, I've heard of this, and this is like literally the first time I'm getting to it, and I'm so excited. I'm going to tell Nella about this too. Tell my mom about this. I'm going to tell everybody about this. Now, you could, so I think it's called potassium phosphorate or phosphorus, but I was like between like, do I take the homeopathic version of it or do I take the actual thing? So I'm going to try this because I think they actually sell like the real one. I'm going to start to take this as a daily supplement. Let's see. You're supposed to put it under your tongue or... Excuse me. Excuse me. So I'm just looking at the cell salt info. I'm also going to take my regular vitamins. Super North Shine, Rain or Shine. How's it going? 1 second. I'm just going to get my vitamins. Rain or shine? Hi, I'm sorry. What are you sorry about? So yeah, I usually like to take my vitamins right after I eat. Kelly Foss. Potassium phosphate. Let's ask ChatGPT. So yeah, I'm gonna start to take this daily and see how it works. It's magic. If it's a tarot question, right now we're doing, I think like $5 readings. So if you want to go through that, if you have TikTok, you can check me out. It's at Run and Gun Tarot on TikTok. All my prices and payment methods are there. I'll write how it's spelled. RUNNGUNTAROT. And yeah. So I'm wondering. So I asked ChatGPT, what's the difference between taking potassium phosphate and taking Cali Phos? Right, because potassium phosphate is the diluted version, is what's being diluted in Cali Phos, cell salt number 6. Good question. These sound similar, but they're actually very different in how they're used and what they do in the body. Potassium phosphate, medical nutritional supplement. This is a biochemical compound, actual potassium and phosphate used in conventional medicine. Purpose: replenish low potassium levels, support electrolyte balance, help with energy metabolism. It has a measurable physiological effect in the body, typically prescribed and taken in meaningful doses. Think of it as real mineral supplement your body directly uses. Kali Phos, homeopathic remedy, short for Kali phosphoricum, used in homeopathy, not conventional medicine, extremely diluted form of potassium phosphate, often diluted to the point where little to none of the original substance remains, commonly marketed for stress, anxiety, mental fatigue, nervous system support, works on a homeopathic principle, like cures like, not biochemical replacement. Think of this as energetic homeopathic support, not a nutrient source. What? Intended energetic effect.
homeopathic principles. If your body needs more potassium or phosphate, only potassium phosphate will actually provide that. Caliphos will not correct the deficiency. It's not supplying nutrients in a meaningful amount. Wow, that's fascinating. Water memory. The wounds is where the healing enters. Poison becomes medicine in the right dose. I got an incoming tarot read, boy. What you know about that? What you know about that? I'm gonna plug in my laptop after this.
1 second, y'all. Motherfucker born in 1968. Motherfucker 30 years older than me. It's so funny because it's like, I feel like I've gotten people that were born in like 50. Do you think we'll ever live? Play is on there. You don't wanna. Hold on, I gotta call y'all.
Press 1 to accept the call.
Hi, this is Dylan. Yeah, how's it going? Tell me about it. No, I'm saying you. Tell me. Feel free to share. Yeah.
Oh my God. Right. Um, and again, this is someone that you've just known from a while ago, right? Yeah. Yeah. And was that person like a romantic interest back then, or just like friendly? Oh, okay. So you guys were together, like physically? Right. Right. Yeah. Well, it sounds like this person is kind of, truly coming from like their head space, their mental space, as opposed to like their heart space. That's the one thing that I'm kind of noticing. Um, but But yeah, I think that he has been kind of beaten up. I don't know if this person was previously married, but I do see the marriage card in the reverse here. Three of Swords in the reverse. Trying to heal from heartbreak, sadness, loss. Knight of Pentacles in the reverse, feeling off track. Maybe he feels like this is a way to kind of get back in the game, or for himself to feel like he's back on track. Right. Right. Uh-huh. Plays on loom. Let's reset the live. Or we'll just share. Uh, water that used to contain antibodies still triggered a biological reaction. Wow. Uh, professional magician. Wow. But you mean molecule? Hey, it's only. Right. It's literally emotion and memory. Hmm. Cooler, man. It's cooler. No, I disagree. It's not the super old effect.
It does. Yes, it does. Yeah, that creates your reality, stupid. Thoughts do shape reality, bitch ass N word. Yes, yes, yes. Bro, you're whack. ChatGPT, you're whack, bro. You're whack, bro. Come off it. Nah. It's so funny, bro. When in doubt, just argue with ChatGPT. A host is. Cool.
There's one word that almost every